Did you know Manchester United won 20 league titles? The most successful club in English football history. But how good were they? We're about to break down the numbers, the players, and the crazy moments that made Manchester United's prime era absolutely nuts. The Mastermind. Alright, let's talk about the mastermind behind Manchester United's incredible success, Sir Alex Ferguson. This guy wasn't just a manager, he was the architect of glory, the puppet master pulling all the strings. When Fergie stepped into Old Trafford in 1986, nobody could have guessed he was about to change the face of football forever. See, Ferguson wasn't your average Joe manager. He had this uncanny ability to read the game like a book and adapt faster than a chameleon in a rainbow factory. One minute, he's playing 4-4-2. The next, he's throwing out a formation that leaves opponents scratching their heads. It's like he has a crystal ball or something, always one step ahead of everyone else. But here's where it gets really interesting. Ferguson wasn't just about tactics on the pitch, he was a master of mind games too. Remember his famous hairdryer treatment? Man, that was something else. Picture this, you're a player who just had a bad game, and suddenly you've got Fergie in your face, giving you an ear bashing that could peel paint off walls. Sounds scary, right? But here's the crazy part, it worked like a charm. This hairdryer treatment wasn't just about yelling, though. It was Ferguson's way of lighting a fire under his players, pushing them to be better. He knew exactly which buttons to push to get the best out of each player. It's like he had a psychology degree or something. The way he could read people. And let me tell you, this guy's motivational skills were off the charts. He didn't just create a team, he built a winning machine. Ferguson had this knack for making his players believe they were invincible. Kinda like he sprinkled some magic dust in the locker room or something. Players would run through brick walls for him, I swear. But here's where Ferguson really showed his genius. He didn't just focus on the now, he was always thinking about the future. The guy was constantly evolving, changing his tactics and approach to stay ahead of the game. One season, he's all about fast, counter-attacking football. The next, he's building a team that can dominate possession. It's like he reinvented United every few years, keeping everyone on their toes. And get this, Ferguson wasn't just about buying big-name players. Sure, he bought in some superstars, but he was also a master at spotting young talent and molding them into world beaters. He'd take these raw youngsters and turn them into absolute legends. I mean, just wait till you hear about some of the players he developed. It's mind-blowing stuff. Speaking of players, Ferguson had this incredible ability to manage big egos and keep everyone focused on the team's goals. He'd have a dressing room full of superstars, but somehow he kept them all working together like a well-oiled machine. It's like he had some secret formula for team chemistry or something. But before diving into that phase, make sure to click that like and subscribe button. The legends. Alright, now that we've talked about the mastermind behind Manchester United's success, let's dive into the legends who made it all happen on the pitch. I'm talking about the players who were so good they made opposing defenders wake up in cold sweats. These guys weren't just footballers, they were artists painting masterpieces with their feet. First up, we've got Cristiano Ronaldo. Man, this guy was a human highlight reel. In the 2007-8 season, Ronaldo went absolutely bonkers, scoring 42 goals across all competitions. That's not a typo, folks. 42 goals. He bagged 31 of those in the Premier League alone, snagging the Golden Boot like it was a walk in the park. And get this, he was so good that year, they handed him the FIFA World Player of the Year award. I mean, can you even imagine trying to defend against this guy? But Ronaldo wasn't a one-man show. Enter Wayne Rooney, a bulldog of a striker who could score from anywhere on the pitch. Rooney was like a force of nature, bulldozing through defenses and leaving defenders in his wake. In the 2011-12 season, he knocked in 27 goals across all competitions. That's the kind of firepower that gives managers nightmares. And let's not forget about Ryan Giggs, the ageless wonder. This guy was like a fine wine, just getting better with age. Giggs was the playmaker extraordinaire, setting up goals like he had eyes in the back of his head. His crosses were so pinpoint, you'd think he was using GPS to guide the ball. Now, here's where it gets crazy. In the 2007-8 season, Ronaldo, Rooney, and Carlos Tevez formed an attacking trio that was just insane. These three scored a combined total of 100 goals across all competitions. 100 goals! That's not a football team, that's a goal-scoring machine. But what made these guys truly special wasn't just their individual brilliance, it was how they played together. They had this uncanny ability to read each other's minds on the pitch. One minute, Ronaldo's on the wing, the next, he swapped with Rooney in the center, and before you know it, Giggs has popped up out of nowhere to slot home a goal. It was like watching a beautiful, chaotic dance that always ended with the ball in the back of the net. This fluid style of play was a nightmare for defenders. How do you mark a player when you don't even know where he's going to be from one moment to the next? It was this unpredictability, this perfect chemistry, that made Manchester United's attacks so deadly. But here's the thing. Being at the top isn't all sunshine and rainbows. These guys faced some serious challenges in keeping their dominance going. When Ronaldo left for Real Madrid in 2009, it was like someone had pulled the rug out from under the team. Suddenly, they had to figure out how to keep winning without their 42-goal-a-season superstar. And it wasn't just Ronaldo's goals they missed. His departure seemed to throw Rooney off his game for a while. The pressure was on for Rooney to fill those big Portuguese shoes. And man, that's a tall order for anyone. But that's the thing about true legends. They find a way to adapt and overcome. The team had to evolve, to find new ways to dominate without relying on Ronaldo's brilliance. It was sink or swim time. And let me tell you, these guys definitely didn't sink. The hidden secret. Alright, so you're probably wondering, what was the secret sauce that made Manchester United so dominant? Well, it wasn't just about having great players or a genius manager. It was about something deeper, a philosophy, a way of playing that was uniquely United. See, during their prime years, Manchester United had this attacking mindset that was just crazy. They weren't content with sneaking a 1-0 win. No way, man! These guys wanted to tear you apart, score goals for fun, and leave you wondering if you should even bother showing up for the next match. But it wasn't just about attack, attack, attack. United had this never-say-die attitude that was nuts. I mean, how many times did you see them pull off a last-minute win? It's like they thrived on the pressure, whereas other teams were wilting. United was just getting started. Now, let's talk tactics. Ferguson wasn't just some guy who sent out 11 players and hoped for the best. He was always innovating, always trying to stay one step ahead of the competition. One of his big things was using width in play. He'd have wingers like Beckham and Giggs hugging the touchline, stretching the play, and whipping in crosses that were deadlier than a snake bite. And get this, Ferguson was flexible as hell with his formations. Sure, he'd love the classic 4-4-2, but he wasn't afraid to switch things up. Sometimes he'd go with a 4-3-3, sometimes a 4-5-1. It's like he was playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers. But United's success wasn't just about what happened on the pitch, it was about what happened behind the scenes too. I'm talking about their youth development program. Man, this was something else. Ever heard of Class of '92? If you haven't, you're in for a treat. We're talking about guys like David Beckham, Paul Scholes, Ryan Giggs, Nicky Butt, and the Neville brothers. These guys came up through United's youth system and became absolute legends. See, United didn't just buy success, they grew it from the ground up. They took these young kids and molded them into world-class players who understood the United way to their bones. It's like they had United DNA or something. And this focus on youth wasn't just a one-time thing. It became part of United's identity. Even when they were at the top of their game, they were always looking for the next big thing, always giving young players a chance to shine. This blend of homegrown talent and big-name signings was something special. You had guys who'd been at the club since they were kids playing alongside some of the biggest stars in world football, and somehow, it all just worked. But all this stuff I've been telling you about, the attacking football, the never-say-die attitude, the tactical innovations, and youth development, it all sounds great on paper, right? But you're probably wondering, how did this actually translate success on the field? Let's zoom in on the 2008 to 2009 season, because man, that was something else. United finished with a whopping 90 points. Just let that sink in for a second. 90 points. That's not just winning, that's straight-up domination. But it wasn't just about the points. United's defense that season was tighter than a drum. They only conceded 24 goals in the league. That's less than 1 goal per game. Imagine being a striker on the opposing team, knowing that you're up against a wall like that. It's enough to make you want to quit football and take up knitting or something. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but what about the attack? Well, buckle up, cause this is where it gets nuts. Cristiano Ronaldo, in his last season before jetting off to Real Madrid, scored 26 goals across all competitions. The guy was playing like he had cheat codes or something. But United wasn't a one-man show. No way. This team was stacked. You had Wayne Rooney terrorizing defenses, Ryan Giggs making defenders look silly, and let's not forget about the midfield maestros like Paul Scholes. It was like watching a football clinic every single match. And get this, United didn't just win the league that year, they made history. They became the first team to win 3 consecutive English top-flight titles twice. That's not just good, that's legendary stuff right there. And here's where it gets really interesting. United's dominance didn't just make them look good, it forced everyone else to step up their game. It's like they raised the bar so high, other teams had no choice but to try and catch up. Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, they all had to go back to the drawing board and figure out how to compete with this red machine. Think about it. When you've got a team that's consistently racking up 80+ points a season, what are you supposed to do? Roll over and play dead? No way. The other top teams had to strengthen their squad, rethink their tactics, maybe even sacrifice a goat or two to the football gods. Anything to try and close that gap. And you know what? It worked. The overall quality of the Premier League shot up like a rocket. Suddenly, you've got 4 or 5 teams that could legitimately challenge for the title. The battles at the top of the table became epic. We're talking nail-biting finishes, last-day dramas, the whole 9 yards. But even with all that competition, United kept finding ways to come out on top. In 2008-9, they finished 4 points clear of Liverpool. 4 points might not sound like much, but in a league this competitive, it's like winning by a mile. The real glory. Let's talk about their Champions League campaigns, cause this is where things get really wild. We're gonna focus on 2 seasons that were just insane, 1999 and 2008. These weren't just victories, they were the stuff of legend. First up, 1999. This season was nuts. United were chasing the treble. That's the Premier League, FA Cup, and Champions League all in one season. Now, plenty of teams have dreamed about it, but actually pulling it off? That's like finding a unicorn riding a flying pig. So, United made it to the Champions League final against Bayern Munich. They're down 1-0 as the game's winding down. It's looking bleak, man, but then, in the 91st minute, Teddy Sheringham scores. The United fans go crazy, thinking they're forced extra time. But wait, there's more. Just 2 minutes later, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer pops up and scores again. United win 2-1. It's like something out of a movie. I swear, the commentator famously yelled, "And Solskjaer has won it." It's one of those moments that gives you goosebumps just thinking about it. This comeback wasn't just luck. It showed exactly what made United so special. That never-say-die attitude. That belief that they could win no matter what. It's like they had some kind of football magic. Fast forward to 2008, and United are at it again. This time, it's an all-English final against Chelsea. The game goes to penalties after a 1-1 draw. Now, penalty shoutouts are always tense, but this was next level. It comes down to the wire. John Terry had a chance to win it for Chelsea, but he slips and hits the post. Then, these wins weren't just about the trophies. They showed how United's style of play and mental strength translated to the biggest stage in club football, the attacking football that terrorized Premier League defenses. It worked in Europe too. That never-give-up attitude, it won them a Champions League final. But these European victories didn't just make United successful, they made them global. Suddenly, United weren't just a football club, they were a worldwide brand. Think about it, millions of people around the world watched these games. They saw the drama, the excitement, the sheer quality of football, and a lot of them thought, man, I want to support this team. United's fan base exploded. We're talking fans in Asia, Africa, America, places that had never seen Old Trafford. People were buying United shirts, watching United games, dreaming of seeing United play in person. See, United's success during their prime years set a standard that was just crazy high. They raised the bar so much that every other team in England had to step up their game just to keep up. It's like they were playing chess while everyone else was still figuring out checkers. But it wasn't just about what happened on the field. United's success turned them into a global brand. You had kids in Asia, Africa, and America wearing United jerseys and dreaming of playing at Old Trafford. It's nuts to think about how a team from Manchester became a worldwide phenomenon. Now, here's where it gets interesting. All this success created a legacy that's both awesome and kinda scary. I mean, think about it. If you're a new United manager or player, you're not just joining a football club, you're stepping into a legacy of greatness. That's a lot of pressure, man. And let me tell you, living up to that legacy ain't easy. Just ask the managers who came after Ferguson. David Moyes, Louis van Gaal, Jose Mourinho. These guys are top-class managers, but following Fergie? That's like trying to repaint the Mona Lisa. It's just not gonna be the same. United's had some tough times since Ferguson left. They've finished as low as 7th in the Premier League. 7th for a team used to being number 1. That's like falling off a cliff. It just shows you how high Ferguson had set the bar. But here's the crazy thing. Even when United's struggling, that legacy is still there. It's like this ghost of greatness haunting Old Trafford. Every time a new manager or player comes in, everyone's wondering, is this the one who's gonna bring back the glory days? And it's not just the fans and media putting on the pressure. It's the club itself. United's got this "we're the best" mentality baked into their DNA now. Anything less than total dominance feels like failure. It's a double-edged sword. You know, it pushes the team to be better, but it also makes it super hard to enjoy any small victories. But let's not get too down about it, because here's the thing. That legacy isn't just about pressure, it's also about inspiration. Every kid who puts on a United shirt is dreaming to be the next Ronaldo or Rooney. Every manager who steps into Old Trafford is hoping to be the next Ferguson. And it's not just United fans who are inspired by this legacy. Football fans all over the world still talk about the '99 Champions League final or the Ronaldo-Rooney-Tevez attack like they happened yesterday. These moments have become part of football folklore. The United of the Ferguson era showed us what's possible in football. They showed us that with the right mix of talent, tactics, and sheer bloody-mindedness, you can achieve things that seem impossible. And that's something that'll inspire football fans and players for generations to come.